Hi, I'm Batman, and this is Robin, and this is another segment of This Is Not Fake News. Yes, we are here. We are here to sound the alarm of a very important message that you need to know about out there. On one of our last segments, I was talking about Trump dissolving Social Security if he was reelected. And thank God he was not elected, because he wanted to, he cut the payroll tax, and he wanted to continue to cut the payroll tax, which would have, if continued to spiral out of control of him doing that, Social Security.
It would have eventually bankrupted Social Security.
Right.
It was an insidious way to try to destroy it without
And as you can see, this was on one of our last segments too. This is just a recap. All the swastikas are the states, GOP states, that have passed laws that obstruct voting rights, and the fascist X into the sign on the states is where they are obstructing the First Amendment, your right to free speech. And then I got a couple here of a car hitting a protester right here and there, and there's another one. In those states, they've made it legal to get away with running over a protester. So and here, grandma can't be brought a bottle of water if she's standing in line to vote. They made that a law there in Georgia. So now the abortion, I don't have a map for that, but that's another one that we could add a whole bunch of states.
Recently, Indiana.
Recently, right. And Texas, I think, wants to do the bounty hunters.
It's already in place then.
It's already in place. So yeah, this is our divided states of America. Now, Robin and me came up with this idea. You know, there are friends of ours in the great city of Chicago. It's a radio station called WCPT AM 820 AM, and where facts matter is one of their mottos. Okay, now. Unfortunately, over the last few decades, the liberal became a dirty word, and then socialist became a dirty word, and now the word progressive has become a dirty word. Now, there are masses of ignorant people, or I should say misguided people out there. Can you believe that people still support Trump? Is that...
They swallow propaganda.
Yeah.
It's by these right-wing stations.
Right.
Now, left-wing is also a dirty word, but we're trying to replace it with another word. And your idea.
The word that we should start using is realist.
Yeah, because Trump has this stupid truth social. He's trying to steal the word truth, even though he's lied over 30,000 times.
30,000 times. Yes.
And it's incredible that people swallow that stuff. But we can fight it with messaging, better messaging.
Now, WCPT has these commercials, Chicago's progressive talk. You hear it all day long. Now, here's something, here's my idea, okay? Either have WCPT change the name of their station, or we get a billionaire or a millionaire, a rich progressive guy to start a bigger network like WCPT, and call it Realist Radio, where facts matter. Or WCPT could just call themselves Realist Radio, or they could just call themselves Where Facts Matter Radio. Okay, here's what I've found over the years, is that these people that are lost in this propaganda, or right-wing propaganda, are mostly working people who are going to one day depend on Social Security. One example, and this has happened hundreds of times. One example, I got a friend, I've known him for 25 years, and he asked me where I'm getting my info from. I says, Where Facts Matter Radio is one of them. NPR is good too. And so he tuned in to WCPT, and he got back to me and he says, oh, it's a progressive station. What's so good about that? See, he wouldn't listen to it because he heard the word progressive.
It's terrible how they've junked that word.
But, well, they junked liberal already, and now it's...
But progressive means that you're trying to make progress for the future. Exactly.
Right.
So, where are they? Reactionary, I guess? Yes, I think so.
Yeah, but he wouldn't even listen to it, okay? So, if you put signs up near all the highways and tollways, Realist Radio, where facts matter, or where facts matter radio. Don't put the word progressive up there. Just put it next to the tollway, put the numbers down, and maybe they'll tune in. And once you got them to tune in and listen, that's the whole key here. You got to get them. That's the goal. You got to get them to listen. And if they listen, and don't say that Republicans are all bad or that or liberals are great. Don't say that. The problem is Stephanie Miller's show in the morning. They have the sexy liberal stuff going on. That would never work because they would turn the station. So I mean, this idea might be better for creating a news station and call it Realist Radio, because I don't think Stephanie Miller's they're going to give up her syndication on that. Santita Jackson uses it in the morning. Tom Hartman, you're listening to the Tom Hartman program on Progressive Radio, and then Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. You're not going to get these people to listen, but they need to hear what? They need to hear the
real truth. Truth for realists.
Right. Realists.
People that want to actually solve problems.
Right.
Like global warming, which of course is not climate change, because climate change could be a neutral term, but global warming or climate catastrophe.
Climate catastrophe. Right.
Climate.
Which is a fact coming to us. Yeah. It's getting worse and worse as we speak.
Realists want to deal with that.
Right.
As people who are just not real.
Right.
Or reactionary don't want to.
And I must say, Texas does deserve these symbols because of what you mentioned. But there's also another horrible thing.
The Supreme Court,
right.
Of course.
Now, all those working class people, they were driving. Truck drivers, one example, were driving down the highway and they were listening to conservative Dennis Prager or Mark Levin, and they were hearing all this bad stuff about Hillary, and they wouldn't vote for Hillary. And Hillary was the cause of all the problems in the world, and Benghazi over and over again. But they wouldn't vote for Hillary, okay? And a segment of those working class people do support a woman's right to choose. They're not all religious fanatics who think that abortion is the same thing as murder. Well, those people wouldn't vote for Hillary. They voted for Trump. They fell for his racism and his sexism. And now we have Trump appointing, how many Catholics do we have on the Supreme Court now?
I think there's 6 now,
6.
Out of 9.
And he appointed 3, enough to overturn Roe v. Wade. Now,
he said that's what he wanted them to do.
Now, he said that's what he was going to do. And now you're going to complain that Roe v. Wade has been overturned, but you wouldn't vote for Hillary.
There's a saying, and I think Maya Angelou...
Be careful what you wish for.
Well, when someone tells you what they are, believe them.
Yeah.
That's, people didn't believe Trump, evidently. He actually said in an interview with Chris Matthews that he would expect there to be penalties for the woman after he got done getting rid of abortion rights. So I don't know if he wanted to go as far as executing him like some of these crazies.
But I brought up the Supreme Court because that adds to, voting rights, abortion rights, and now the Supreme Court. We've got a bunch of fanatics pushing their Roman Catholic religion on all of us. And within days of overturning, I don't even think it was a week, within days, they went from obstructing Roe v. Wade to obstructing the EPA.
There's the thing that EPA had many powers that were obvious powers that they had, because these guys on the Supreme Court, when it suits their purpose, they want to just ignore things like the 10th Amendment, or the implicit rights of a woman or anyone to privacy in our country. They wanted to just ignore those parts of the Constitution, which obviously the founders didn't put in a right to move from state to state. They assumed that because everybody knew that would be obviously a right that you would have, a natural right, as it were.
And then Clarence Thomas, that's a sad story, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a man of color.
Such a rabbit hole he's gone down.
Oh, yeah. I never liked that term, Uncle Tom, because it actually means the opposite of what people think it means. But he's a real traitor to his ethnic heritage. And he's a traitor to all Americans, basically. I shouldn't limit it just to
Pretty much. I mean, he wants to go as far as taking away contraception.
Yeah, and he suggested that we do away with gay marriage. And we don't know where this is going to stop, because I wasn't shocked, okay, because I knew that would be what would come if they seized control. But the fact that within days they went from abortion rights to obstructing the environment, the EPA. So, like, what else is on the chopping block? Now, these guys are so ruthless that yes, they really don't care about anything but themselves. They might just go ahead and obstruct Social Security. I mean, I don't know how old folks will survive. Do they really want to live in a world where it's just that small minority of people who have everything, and everybody else just gets sick and dies?
That's the crazy thing, and that's why these people are so misguided. And we need to...
The working people.
We need to counter the propaganda and the stupidity of the lies.
But imagine if they're driving down the highway and they see the sign, Realist Radio, or Where Facts Matter Radio. I actually, that one, it really fits in, because, if I didn't know nothing about politics and I saw Where Facts Matter, I would go, wow, I think I'd like to listen to that, to see exactly if they're really telling the truth about where facts matter. Because I don't like bullshit. I mean, I'm just thinking like a truck driver would think, the average working man would think. I think most people want to know the truth. Most people want to know the truth. Unfortunately, these people enjoy following this myth of Trump, the cult.
Unfortunately, you can go back in history and you can see what happened in Germany. Germany was a cultured country.
A very cultured, very, very highly intelligent.
Nazi fascists took over, and the indoctrination and the
everybody was scared.
And if that happens to this country, God help the rest of the world.
Well, it could, because people are selfish. And people, when push comes to shove, people get scared and they only think about themselves.
But as you pointed out, it's not even really being selfish. It's being deluded, really.
Deluded.
Or gullible, or allowing yourself to be convinced by propaganda that you should know better. Mm-hmm. Because so many of these people, they do want Social Security, I'm sure, if they, were asked in a polling group or in a one of these groups where they get voters together to talk over the issues. But they will still possibly vote for these Republicans who want to take away their Social Security.
And
Romney, Scott, those guys.
And the Republicans also obstruct organizing rights. Right to work. It really means right to work for
and they're pretty much anti-labor.
Less.
Right to work for less.
Yes.
Right.
Or right to abuse workers.
Most of these people are working class. They would probably call themselves working class. Mm-hmm. But look, a lot of people are deluded from all classes. It's really not just a class matter. Mm-hmm. And we have to consider that the propaganda needs to be countered with better messaging. Mm-hmm. Just on the side of the people who are trying to tell the real truth to people, I don't think we've used strong enough words against the other side.
Tom Hartman is one of my favorite. Unfortunately, there's the commercial. You're listening to Chicago's Progressive Talk. Of course, this wasn't his commercial, but I mean, he's syndicated on our station. I think Joan Esposito is great. I think Patty, who comes on after that, is great.
Yes, please.
But Stephanie Miller, I mean, I like her.
She's a comedian.
But I really don't want to be entertained. What I want to do is save America. What I want to do is save people's Social Security. I want to save working rights. I want to defend a woman's right to choose. And we're not going to do that by having a comedy show about sexy liberal, Now, that's the reason why WCPT will probably not let go of her, and they probably won't change their name. Well, so maybe what we need to do is find a millionaire, Tom Hartman. You know any millionaires out there? Or who else? Any of those?
There's plenty of millionaires in the Democratic Party, but they haven't been really organized.
Well, Al Franken, let's bring him back. I don't know if he's a millionaire. I'm sure he's doing okay, but
I always thought Tom Steyer was a perfect
right. Well, Al Franken was one of the guys on Air America that kept
Air
it
America
going.
It was a great network at the time.
At the time.
It didn't have enough support.
Right. Norman Goldman is another good one that we miss, that couldn't stay afloat because of the reasons of income.
He wasn't supported enough, and yes, he gave up eventually.
Yeah, but that's how you get these people. I mean, it's like I hear too much preaching to the choir when I turn in. Now, like Tom Hartman, he keeps telling me that we're going to be in trouble if we don't win the midterms. I know that. Joan Esposito says the same thing. I know that. I mean, however, Tom Hartman is very informative because I didn't know about the EPA obstruction that happened a few days later until I tuned in.
There's so many things going on, it's hard to keep track, and that's why we do need.
But we don't need to hear that it's a progressive station. We don't need to hear that.
That word is a problem.
Working class people couldn't write off this certain credit. I forgot what it was.
I remember truck drivers had a problem that was actually put in by Trump, the Trump administration. When they did their tax bill, they made it so that they could not deduct their expenses, basically.
But how many of? Oh, right,
and
right.
most of them don't even realize that happened. They thought it just was something that happened because God did it to them or something.
Right.
But they didn't realize it was Trump that did it.
Yeah. Well, today
it would help if their radio stations were to mention that once in a while. But of course, the ones they listen to don't ever mention it, and it's the Republicans' fault.
Well. Today we did get some good news. Two good news. President Biden finally got that bill passed, which will will move us in the direction.
Reduction Act.
Move us in the direction of saving the environment. Not a fix all, but
we're going to make things better.
Yeah.
And we're going to do something about global warming.